الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعن الله الدائم على أعدائهم من الأولين والآخرين. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bi thana'ik. Alayka minni salam Allah ala ma baqit wa baqiya al-layl wa an-nahar. For the return of our imam, please recite a loud salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Yesterday, you will recall that we spoke about the importance of thinking for ourselves, of being free in this world, meaning to make our own choices and understand the reasons why we're making them. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Imam Hussain deserves a loud salawat. When he arrived in Karbala, the Imam said, "An-nas abid ad-dunya, wad-din la'ab ala al-sinatihim." People are slaves to this world, and religion is but a morsel upon their tongues, a morsel in their mouths, something which they chew and spit out, as if it were nothing. What he's saying is, people don't take religion seriously. And yesterday we said that we should take religion seriously. We should reflect on Islam, on the usul al-deen. And we said that we were going to look at the usul al-deen of Tawheed, the unity of Allah, Adl, Allah's justice, Nabuwa, prophethood, Imama, succession to the Prophet, and Ma'ad, resurrection, the afterlife, in light of Imam Hussain and the Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam. The foundation of Islam, if you remember the three questions we asked yesterday, we said, what were they? We said, where did I come from? Where am I going? And what am I doing while I'm here? What is my purpose in this world? Well, to answer the first question, we must turn to our origin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The existence of Allah, believing in the existence of a creator, is the cornerstone of Islam. If you do not have certainty about this, if you do not have sure belief that Allah exists, then you have nothing. You cannot have Tawheed if you do not believe Allah exists. You cannot have Adl, you cannot have Nabuwa, you cannot have Imam, you cannot have Ma'am, you have nothing. Unless we believe in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot love Imam Hussain as he deserves to be loved. And we cannot honor Imam Hussain as he deserves to be honored. And the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt were tireless, utterly tireless in their efforts to propagate the message of Islam from the existence of God all the way to Ma'ad. And so when the Imams met atheists, when they met people who did not believe in the existence of a creator and a Lord for this world, they would bring proofs, they would bring rational proofs to convince the person they were talking to that yes, you have a Lord, you have a God, you should worship Him. On one occasion, an atheist came to Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. And the atheist said to the Imam, I don't believe in God, but I've heard you are a learned man. Perhaps you can convince me. Imam as-Sadiq says, have you ever sailed upon a ship? Have you ever sailed upon a ship? And the man goes, yes, I'm a sailor. So he says, wow. Then you must have been caught in a storm on at least one occasion. Yes. Have you ever been on a ship that has been wrecked in a storm? Yes. So you were on the deck when the ship was being thrown from side to side by the waves and battered by the winds. And you were there when that wave came crashing down that split the ship in two. Yes. And you were thrown overboard into the ocean and you were struggling to keep afloat and you were reaching for anything, even a piece of driftwood, to help you keep above the water. Yes. And tell me, did there come a wave so massive that you thought it would swallow you up? And you would never see the light of day again? Yes. And then Imam Sadiq leans forward and he asks them, and what did you do when you saw that?
Subhanallah.
And in a voice that is little more than a whisper, the atheist replies, I called out, oh Allah, save me. And the Imam says, the fact that you have this hope in your heart that there was a higher power that could save you, does that not tell you that you have a Creator who put that instinct in your heart? Salawat. Belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fitri, innate. Something which is in the core of every human being. Belief in Allah is written into the very fabric of our souls. We may not always realize it's there. But everyone, when they are confronted with the reality of death, Ya Allah, save me. Look at Pharaoh. Look at Pharaoh. What were his last words? Al-An, now I believe in the God of Moses. As the ocean swallows him up and his soul departs his body. Now I believe in the God of Moses. Too late. But it was there. Pharaoh, one of the greatest tyrants and disbelievers the world has ever known. He said, Ana rabbukum al-a'la. I am your highest Lord. Words which almost no other tyrant has dared to utter, though they kept them in their hearts. Pharaoh said this openly, I am your highest Lord. And yet, when he saw his own life vanishing into nothingness, he said, now I believe in the God of Moses. Fitra, or human nature. The word fitra in Arabic is a beautiful word. It comes from fatara, which means to split. Literally, it means to split something. And from that, we get its meaning to create. We say that Allah is fatir as-samawati wal-ard.
Subhanallah.
Because He split existence from non-existence. He split light from darkness. Reality from unreality. Origination. And so, when we say fitra, we are talking about the way in which something has been originated, the way in which something has been created. So, when we say that belief in Allah is fitri, we mean we have been made in this way, that Allah has made us in a way that we will believe in Him. And in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He say? He says, فِطْرَةُ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَتَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. The origination of Allah upon which He has originated mankind. Allah has created us with this fitrah. This fitrah hasn't come about by chance, it hasn't come about through evolution. We haven't dreamed it up. Fitrah, our inner nature as human beings, comes from Allah. And there are two qualities that all things fitri have in common. First, it is present in all human beings. All human beings, in all times and all places. Whether here in this hall right now, in London, or whether we go to a remote Pacific island somewhere, if we go to an island where no foreigner has ever set foot and we find a tribe of people on that island, we will find this in their fitrah. They have the same fitrah, the same innate nature that Allah gave us. So fitrah does not change with circumstances. Fitrah, the essence of the human being, does not change with circumstances. It is always there. That doesn't mean it is always visible. Fitrah can be obscured, it can be buried under layer upon layer of social conditioning. But it is still, and this is the second quality, it is still known innately. You do not need anyone to teach you fitrah. You do not need anyone to come and tell you what fitrah is. You already know it in the depths of your own soul, in the depths of your own heart. You know your fitrah because your fitrah is part of you. It is the most fundamental part of you. You feel you are hungry because there are nerves in your stomach sending messages to your brain that you are hungry. In Ramadan, we all felt the pain of hunger. In some cases, we also hear the pain of hunger if you have a particularly noisy stomach. But we all feel hunger. No one needs to come and tell you you're hungry. And yet hunger is not something fitri. Hunger is not something fitri. Hunger is a sensation you have around your stomach. There's a sensation of emptiness in your stomach. You feel that that hunger is part of you. You feel that hunger is gnawing away at your very core. You feel it swallowing you up from inside. You feel like you'd give anything for a sandwich. Especially this year. Ramadan was very long. I don't think there was any cases of violence, but I'm pretty sure that the sandwich aisles in Tesco and Sainsbury's, for all of you who are at work, were, these were sacred places you would visit on the way home. But that's how intensely you feel hunger. And fitrah is more fundamental than that. Fitrah is more fundamental than hunger. You cannot get rid of it. You cannot get rid of fitrah. So fitrah should be obvious to anyone who reflects, to anyone who ponders. If you sit and you think deeply, you will find it. You will find it. And that is why Imam Hussain alayhi salam says in his dua for the day of Arafah, is there anyone more manifest than you, O Allah, that he might make you manifest to us? Have you ever disappeared so that we needed a guide to find you? Have you ever gone away to some far place such that we needed a trail in order to reach you, and we needed to follow a road in order to reach you? Surely not. Blind are the eyes that do not see you. Of course, he's not talking about the eyes in your head, he's talking about the eyes of your heart. He's talking about yaqeen. So Imam Hussain is saying the existence of Allah is so clear, it should not need proving, it should not need teaching. You should not need to teach someone that Allah exists. And yet, we are at this very moment talking about proving the existence of Allah. Proving the existence of Allah. So someone might doubt, is belief in Allah really fitri? Is belief in Allah really something that exists in every human heart, buried deep within? There's even an atheist with faith, or a lack of faith, as strong as Richard Dawkins, have a little piece of himself crying out, Ya Allah. How can we prove this? Well, first of all, we see that human beings, as we said already, when they're faced with death, when they're faced with difficulty, they turn to Allah. Imam al-Askari alayhi salam explains the meaning of the name Allah. He says the name Allah means the one to whom every created being turns to in times of need or difficulty, when they have lost hope in everything else. And so this atheist that we talked about in his debate with Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when he realized that all hope was lost, when nothing could save him, who did he remember? And so in his time of need and difficulty, when he saw that there was no other way out of that situation, he turned to Allah. Even though he thought, perhaps until a split second before that, he thought, I don't believe in Allah, I don't believe in God. But there was something deep inside of him, when he was confronted with the reality of his own death, that was able to uncover all, to remove all of the conditioning that he had put himself through, telling himself that he didn't believe in God, convincing himself he didn't believe in God. That confrontation with death was enough for that split second to bring him back, as it were, to consciousness, to bring him back to reality. Notice that he survived the experience, and yet he comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and says, I'm an atheist. He comes to Imam Sadiq and says, I'm an atheist, even though he had experienced that. But when you are confronted with death, everything becomes clear. Suddenly priorities fall into place. You have a Lord and you want him to save you. But we also see, if we look around us, that people have a reverence instinct. The way that people talk about footballers or pop stars, the way they watch their every move, the way they copy them with their hairstyles and their clothing and even their manner of speaking. Is this not an act of reverence? Is this not a kind of ibadah? Are you not saying how great this person is, I want to be like them? So in this way we might even say that Fir'aun, even though he was kafir, even though he was a zalim, even though he was jabbar, he was a tyrant, when he said, Ana rabbukum ala, was he not saying he wanted to be like Allah? Was this not a twisted form of reverence? The fact that he recognizes this station and wants to obtain it? So yes, we see that people in all societies, even atheist societies, look at communist Russia, they said we don't believe in God. So why are all these statues of men everywhere? Why is there a statue of Karl Marx, a statue of Lenin, a statue of Stalin, and we're all supposed to respect these statues? Go to North Korea today. North Korea is a militantly atheist society, and yet you find a statue of who? Now, I don't remember which one it is. It's Kim Jong-il, the first one? You find a statue of Kim Jong-il. And if you are a foreigner visiting North Korea, you need special permission to visit North Korea. If you are a foreigner visiting North Korea, your Korean guides will take you to this statue so that you can lay a wreath of flowers at the feet of Kim Jong-il, the founder of North Korea. Is this not a kind of worship? And so we see that even when human beings are not worshipping their Lord, this instinct cries out for something to worship. This instinct cries out, I need something to bow down to. And so it gets diverted. In fact, if you look at every kind of sin, every sin that can be committed, the vast majority of them are man's healthy desires perverted to something else. What is fornication? Fornication is the natural desire. We are not Christians. The natural and healthy desire that men and women have for each other, twisted to something else. What is gluttony? What is overeating? Gluttony is a sin. If you eat more food than you need, if you eat and eat and eat, this is something bad. But if you don't eat food at all, you'll die. So you can see that even a sin like gluttony, it's what? It's a healthy desire diverted to something else. So even shirk, associating partners with Allah, it is the instinct of reverence diverted to something else. And so, even the fact that people deny God's existence and yet worship other things proves that they have it in them to worship Allah. But if belief in God is fitri, then how is it possible for people to deny it? If it's more real than hunger and thirst, how is it possible that people deny their own fitra, deny their own nature? Well, in a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu that is narrated by all schools of Islamic thought, He says that every child is born upon fitrah. It is their parents that make them into Jews or Christians or fire worshippers. And into anything else as well. The meaning of this is what? That every child comes into the world with fitrah, but there are two components to what the child grows into. One is tabiat, the child's nature, his fitrah, and tarbiyat, his education, his upbringing. So yes, it is possible to divert people away from fitrah by conditioning them. What do you think goes on in our society? Every time you step out onto the street and you see a billboard, what do you think those adverts are there to do? Do you think those adverts are there for your benefit? To inform you that, oh, look at this wonderful product, it can make your life much better. That's not what those adverts are there for. Those adverts are not there to educate you. Those adverts are there to make you desire that product. Which is incidentally why you see so many products advertising using the female form. Or now even the masculine form. Because one of the strongest desires in the human being is the sexual desire. So they want to associate other things with that so that you'll buy their products. This is a form of conditioning. In extreme cases, for example, people who are taken away and locked in a room, and they have people who are experts in this. They will break down your personality piece by piece and put it back together again so that you're a completely different person. Don't ask me how, because I wish I knew. But they can do it. It's happened to people. The CIA knows how to do this, the KGB and the old Soviet Russia knew how to do this. This is what they would do. So it's possible to completely remake a person, whether in subtle ways, such as advertising and education, or through extreme measures like completely breaking down their personality. So yes, it's possible to obscure fitrah. But you cannot deny it. Allah in the Quran says, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. When your Lord took out the descendants of the children of Adam from their loins and made them bear witness over themselves, أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ? Am I not your Lord? Am I not your Lord? This is before we even existed. This is our potential to exist. This very potential to exist, Allah addresses, am I not your Lord? أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ? قَالُوا, they said, what did they reply? بَلَا, indeed you are. And Allah takes this pledge with us. Why? أَن تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّ كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. So that you will not say, on the day of judgment, we had no idea about this. We were ghafilin. We were ignorant of this. We are unaware of this. And so fitrah exists in the heart of every human being to spur them to look for the truth, to search for Allah, so that on Yawm al-Qiyamah no one can say, I didn't know. I didn't know. Because Allah will say, but didn't you have this niggling feeling inside of you? Didn't you have this sense that there was more to life than this? And everyone, even the staunchest atheists, have this sense that there's something more to life. You don't get to become such a strong atheist as Richard Dawkins if you don't spend some time thinking about your existence. You can't, even though you may reach the wrong conclusions. Everyone has this